new band of rebels arose who were determined to carry the fight to Jerusalem. The SICARRI. To the SICARRI, anyone who wasn't fighting the Romans was a collaborator and worthy of death.
Many were slain every day, and the fear men were in is worse than the calamity itself.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. All right, this is the third installment to the breakdown of the tribe of Judah, dealing with the tribe of Judah being the so-called Negroes, black people of today. Okay, and I'm gonna go into various books and various, a couple scriptures here and there, and various books showing the depictions and the descriptions physically, artistically, of black people being the real Jews according to the Bible, being the Israelites according to the Bible, as well as black people ruling during the time of the medieval, middle age period. All right, the Dark Ages, what they like to say. But and the reason why is because pictures worth 1,000 words. We can break scriptures down all day long, but a lot of times pictures illuminate the mind of brothers and sisters. It enlightens our brothers and sisters to the truth and to the knowledge, man, because these devils are so-called white people, especially the rich elite, they have spent millions, over trillions of dollars, trillions upon trillions of dollars to keep this knowledge and secret away from our people, knowing who they are. All right, according to the scriptures, according to the Bible, according to history, man. So with that said, let me go ahead and go right into it, because I want to bring this out. I've been actually for years wanting to get books, showing the images of our people, and way back 5 years ago when I first came in this truth back in 2013, being so intrigued by the truth, that we were the people of the Byzantine era. Of course, us being the true Israelites according to the Bible, but we were the people of the Byzantine Empire. We were the people ruling all throughout the Dark Ages. And our history did not just start in Africa as slaves, which you will find out in this scripture. So let me go ahead and kick it off with the scriptures real quick. All right. I'll go ahead and go into it right here. Let's go ahead and go to the book of St. John real quick. Yeah, let me go ahead and go to St. John chapter 8, verse 32. Okay. The book of St. John chapter 8, verse 32. And it reads, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The Most High's word is true, ultimately. And also, too, what else is the truth? Things that revealing things that have been covered in lies, man. Because whatever's not the truth is a lie. Okay? And you're going to find out the truth today, and it's going to set you free. Knowing that you're an Israelite, knowing that you were of nobility or of a royal and great stock at one point. All right? So let's go ahead and go into a scripture that brothers know off the top of their head, because it's so key to understanding that, brothers and sisters nowadays, and really through many different generations throughout history, have always used the term nigga. All right. And, our people have used it, but they don't know that it's not something that just started when we came over here on cargo slave ships, because it's something that we've been using for centuries since we've been over here in America towards each other. But it goes all the way back, man. So with that said, let's go ahead and go into Acts 13 and 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger, all right, and Lucius of Cyrene, and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. So it says dealing with one of the certain prophets and teachers. So this is what you have to understand. All right, certain prophets, certain teachers, in particular, the man Simeon. All right, he was called Niger. Now let's use the proper pronunciation of it. I'm gonna bring it out in the Strong's Concordance. All right. Let's go ahead and go into Acts 13:1. It's the book of Acts. Let's bring this out real quick. Acts 13:1. So I'm gonna go into that word in the Strong's Concordance, my phone, real quick. Let's see right here. All right, so Strong's G 3526. Niger, or the proper pronunciation, nigger, black, the surname of the prophet Simon. All right, so that was the surname of the prophet Simon, man. And this is something that you have different Israelites that had the last name Niger or Niger. That's how you pronounce it. They had that as their surname or their last name. Actually, let me go ahead and pull this out real quick, man. Because, you know, our brothers and sisters need to know the truth. Because Niger or Nicker was a Greco-Roman term to describe certain black people, you know what I'm saying, during the Greco-Roman era, man. Let me go ahead and pull this out real quick. I did a video on this page, I think 2 years ago, about it before. Let me go ahead and go into it. You know, because our people don't know this history. You know what I'm saying? And it's our job to teach our people the truth, man, and show them what time it is. Right here. This is out of the book of National Color Lines by J.A. Rogers. All right. And this book is a comprehensive book dealing with black people all throughout Europe, ruling and living through different parts of what we know as Europe today. All right. And he did his extensive research over there. And, you know, he used to be a part of the Marcus Garvey movement. All right. Just so you understand. So I'm going to read some inserts right here in page 55. Let's skip down. All right. This too was an African word imported into the Greek to describe black people. All right. Talking about the word more, I believe, when you read up. That is Maris, black, okay? Yeah, Maris, all right? And that's where you get the root word, that's where you get the word more from Maris, which was a Greek deity, all right? The word Maritina is Greek, meant black, says Harper. Still later came Niger from the river of that name, all right? It is likely that the people of Negrita, the land of the Niger was now Nigeria, brought that word into the language of the Romans. And since they were black skinned, Niger became to mean, which the proper pronunciation is nigger, all right, came to mean black. Originally the Latin, my bad, one second. Originally the Latin for black was altered, but later the terms became interchangeable. All right. So, you know, this is a term that was used to describe black people even during the time of the Greco-Roman era, man. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with this word right here. All right. Strong's G 3526, Niger. Niger, black. Surname of the prophet Simon. One of the prophets, that was his surname. And guess what? All throughout Rome, and that was during the time of Rome, dealing with the time of Christ. That whole name was something that the Greeks and the Romans used to describe Negroes. at the time. So verse 50, I'm slacking, not verse, page 54. Among Moors who rose to great power were Emperors Macarinus, Infirmus, and Emilianus. I'm gonna actually skip down because I want to get to the point, all right, about the word, not the word Moor, the word Neger, okay, because I'll deal with the Moors a little later on in this video. So was Gildo, rulers of Africa under Emperor Valentinian. Among the Nigers are Emperors Pescennius Niger, the Roman emperor who was warring against Septimius Severus. Now we'll deal with Septimius Severus in later on in this video as well. Aquilus Niger, Bratidius Niger, and Cassilius named Niger, who accompanied the sister of Emperor Octavius, Antony, who had deserted her for Cleopatra. All right, so you know, I can keep going on. Of Trebius Niger was a pronto in Spain and a naturalist mentioned by Pliny. All right, so just giving you certain names to look up that had that name. All right, and this is something that you can go in the scriptures and find that was a surname of a particular prophet and a teacher, man. All right, so just want to get that started off. All right, and I might go into this even more dealing with this book on certain topics. Let's go ahead and go to Job 9, chapter 9, verse 24 real quick. Okay? Because what you're going to understand is that the white man has done such a great job in keeping our history from us. And he's done a great job of whitewashing images of great people of nobility, icon images of great people of nobility during the time of the biblical, what people will call the biblical times, as well as the Middle Age, the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, man. Because our people were ruling during that time, and we had images all throughout Europe showing that we were the people of those time periods, man. All right, so let's go ahead and go into it. This is Job 9 and 24. All right, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and the wicked is the so-called white man. All right, Malachi 1 and 4 says he is the border of wickedness. So this is speaking on him in particular. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. All right. So when you deal with the judges, who is the ultimate judge? You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, it's Yahweh Shai, who these people call Jesus Christ. All right. This man right here, he was one of the images that he was one of the faces that they covered up. But guess what is being revealed in the last days to wake up our people who he is. All right. So I'm going to show this through my phone real quick. It's being Hamashiach Yahushai, or this being a artist depiction of our Lord. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, turn this image, this, you know what I'm saying, this depiction that's been shown in many art forms in history, all right, or a likeness of Yahweh Shai looking as a so-called Negro with white woolly hair and so on and so forth. Change that image into what you know as today, all right? See, Jesus, let me just type in Jesus Christ. All right, change it into this image right here. All right, so that's one of the ways they covered the faces of the judges thereof. They covered the ultimate judge, which was Yahweh Shai, but also too they did it to the prophets, they did it to the angels, they did it to the Most High himself. You know what I'm saying? Who everyone calls God, and they've done it to various, like I said before, various different key historical figures in history that were originally black images that they changed to look like white people. All right. he covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, wherein who is he? So that's dealing with the so-called white man. That's one of the great lies he's done upon the planet Earth. That's why the truth shall set you free. You know what I'm saying? With this information I'm bringing out, and all these other brothers bringing out information throughout the four corners. All right. So before I go into the image of Christ and bring out some certain books dealing with the images of Christ, let me go ahead and go into this right here. All right. Let me go ahead and go into the book of the Apocrypha, which is part of the King James 1611 that they took, 14 books they took out. And I'm going to go right here. All right. First Maccabees 3:48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen, all right, and the heathen at this time were the Ptolemies and the Seleucids. And who were they? They were the Edomites, the so-called white people of today, that you know as today, all right, when they sacked Jerusalem and they took all our valuables and goods, all right. So it says, and laid open the book of the law that our people used to guide their way, the Most High's word. Wherein the heathen, dealing with the so-called white men, the Greeks at the time, had sought to paint the likeness of their images. The heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. Okay? And what is that dealing with? Let me go ahead and pull out this definition real quick. You know what I'm saying? Or what they did to our artwork over there in Europe and all over what they call the Middle East, the Fertile Crescent. All right? Let's bring this out. So this is iconoclasm, all right? This is dictionary definition. The action of attacking or assertively rejecting cherished beliefs, institutions, or established values and practices. Now let's read the one that coincides with what the white man has done. Second definition: the rejection or destruction of religious images as heretical. The doctrine of iconoclasts. All right. So destruction of religious arts. All right. And in particular, dealing with the Renaissance era, that's what happened. That's what took place. The destruction of black images. That was the whole purpose of the Renaissance era during the 1300s, which ended up growing even larger in the 1400s, that lasted all the way to the 1800s, was the destruction of black images over there in Europe, all over the eastern part of the world. All right, Europe, you know what I'm saying, Eastern Europe, and what they know as the Middle East today, Fertile Crescent. All right, so now that we understand that, let's go ahead and go into this, man. Let's go ahead and go into these books, man. You know, because I spent 5 years worth of good money, man, saving up to buy a lot. Because some of these books are expensive, like this one right here. Some of them are not so expensive, but took a lot of time to spend on these books and read them, and make sure that I'm bringing this out for y'all brothers and sisters edification. All right. So I want to deal with one particular thing, because like I said, I'll deal with the image of Christ later on, but I want to go ahead and deal with the thing with Spain. All right, because a lot of people that's over here in the Western Hemisphere believe that black people's history and everything that they come from is from Africa. All right. And that when they originally arrived here in America, okay, that was their first time ever coming to America, which is false, which is not true, which is not historically accurate. White men, like we said before, the white man has done a great job in distorting it, man, distorting our history. So I'm gonna go back into this book, Nature Know No Color Lines by J.A. Rogers, page 65. All right. So let's go ahead and go into this and delve into this real quick. All right. So this is page 65, and I'm gonna start at the highlighted part. As regards Christian Spain and Portugal, Negroes were imported in droves from 1440 until the abolish of slavery in Portugal in 1773. Already before the discovery of America, says Fernando Ortiz, several thousands of Negro slaves had been extradited from Senegal, Guinea, Congo, and were working in Lisbon, in Algeciras, in Seville, and in all Andalusia. The Catholic sovereigns were dealers in Negro slaves. It was Christopher Columbus who went plundering in Negro slaves in Guinea before stealing Indian slaves in Cuba. So right here, because you got to understand, during that time of the 1400s, late 13 all the way up to the 14th century AD, that's when the white men started coming back into power and taking down black people of nobility, all right, out of Europe, all right, in particular during the time of the Renaissance era, as well as when the Ottoman Turks took over, as well as when the white man got into Spain and Portugal, like it's telling you right here, and took over, you know what I'm saying, and started enslaving black people, okay? And it says that Christopher Columbus started enslaving Negroes and putting them in slavery before he went into the Caribbean islands and did what he did to the Taino and the Arawak Indians of what you know as Cuba and Puerto Rico today, all right? So before the discovery of America, the Negroes already were cutting sugar cane in Andalusia. In Seville, there was a municipal council of native Negroes with fraternal orders, kings, and overseers. Overseers. The Negro came first to the Indies from Spain, not from Africa. So according to this information and document by J. Rogers, all right, his extensive research over there in Europe, Negroes first came from Spain before they came over here from Africa, all right, as slaves. And even with that, like it says right here, Slovakia, as it even says right here, let me read that again. Negroes also were cutting sugar cane in Andalusia and in Seville. There was a municipal council of native Negroes with fraternal orders, kings, and overseers. The Negro came first to the Indies from Spain, not from Africa. So the first batch of Negroes came from Spain to America, all right? Not from Africa, rich like everybody believes, from 1619, all right? And that's something that, you know, our brothers and sisters have to understand, because they were ruling Spain and Portugal. All right, when the Roman Catholic doctrine got taken over by the so-called white men, dealing with King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, even a little before then, they started forcing people to become Morenos, either convert to being a Roman Catholic or be burnt to the stake. All right, because the Moors were ruling over there in Europe for 1,000 years. For 800 some years. Our people was ruling over there in Europe for 100 years, or for 1,000 years, I should say. And we were ruling, you know what I'm saying, all throughout Europe. All right, so, and they dwelled in different doctrines back then, you know what I'm saying? Some of them were Jews, some of them were Christians, some of them were Roman Catholics of that time, okay? So with that, let me go ahead and get this bit of information right here. Slide. All right, so this is page 123. All right, in this book. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this whole part right here. And it says, Waite says, an interesting gradation of shades down to the black is exhibited by the Jews. Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. Because you got to understand something, right? Even though our people went off, there were still some of our people practicing being Jews over there in Europe. Okay? It wasn't just, okay, we completely forgot after 70 AD, you know what I'm saying, after Rome sacked Jerusalem. There were still some of our people that still remembered and still believed and still kept the doctrine to a degree, or kept the custom, I should say. All right, not the full truth, but kept some of the customs and culture of being a Jew. All right, so it says, especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. The Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Pritchard. The Duchess of de Brantes, wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal, said the Jews, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. So right here, it's telling you that the Jews, the Negro, and the Portuguese can be seen as all one people. All right, it's basically mean that they're all Negroes. So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. This belief, says Barbet, shows what an error most people are in, since he says the German Jews, for example, those of Prague, are as white as most of their German countrymen. All right, so it says, and it goes on to say, many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II, Slovakia, settled in the West Indies. John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, saw the descendants of the Jews and says they were Negroid. All right, so the people of Spain, Portugal, you know what I'm saying, and the ones that were practicing the so-called Jewish religion, which being Jews, I should say, were all depicted as being Negroes. All right. So with that said, let me go ahead and go into this book, Early Spanish Manuscript Illumination by John Williams. All right. Let's go ahead and go into this book. I want to show two or three pictures in this book. And I'm going to read an insert out of this book showing how racist and how demonic and devilish this damn white man is, man, with his words. So you obviously can see the art depiction of these angels and these cherubims, you know what I'm saying, being Negroes. Straight up, right? And it goes back to the scriptures, going back to Ezekiel, the first chapter, when it gives the depiction of the angels being, you know, brown skin, or being dark skin, I should say. Okay, so this is which page is this? Page 55, all right, in this book. And this is plate 888, plate 8B. All right, Christ. So this is Christ in majesty. All right. Christ, whose darkened flesh tones now give him an almost Negroid cast. Now you see this, right? Now you hear what this damn white man done said in this book, right? And you see this image of the angels, and I get that's Christ in the middle. Okay, so that's the depiction of Christ and the angels in the middle, Slovakia. But they said the dark tone of his skin almost give this whole picture a almost depiction of a Negroid cast. In other words, what the white man is doing is saying, yeah, it looks Negroid, but it looks like a bunch of Negroes, but they're not really Negroes. So a black man will read this book, you know what I'm saying, and see the dark images of the angels and Christ, and be like, oh, that's us. Then he reads the insert of the so-called white man, you know, using his demonic witchcraft and his sorcery to rock our people back to sleep by saying Christ, who's dark in flesh tones, now give him almost a Negroid cast, an almost Negroid cast. But you see black people in these images. You see Christ being depicted as a black man. You know what I'm saying? But it just further proves that the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. All right, is shown enthroned between two cherubim. Speaking of Christ, he's enthroned between two cherubims, two angels. All right, within a great circular firmament suspended from the hands of two seraphs. All right, so that's just showing you the depiction of Christ in the Spanish illuminated art or manuscript illumination art, whatever. All right, so obviously this is the depiction of Goliath, the Philistines and the Israelites warring against each other. All right, see, I think there's something else in here. Nah. So sticking on the topic of Spanish art. All right, so now that we know that the Israelites were ruling in Spain and Portugal, and even some of them came over here with Columbus, with Spain, with the Spanish Inquisition, as soldiers, as certain businessmen, you know what I'm saying? Some came as slaves, some didn't. You know what I'm saying? So with all that said, let's go ahead and go into this book right here. Spain, A History in Art. All right. So let's go ahead and go into this particular book. So this is page 60 and 61, all right, combined. Now, I want to show this image right here in this book. And I want you to, and I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to notice something in this picture. Now, if you haven't guessed it yet, I'll show you. Although these pictures are white, or shows the depiction of white women, are they really white? Look closely at the image. Look at her. Look at this woman's fingers right here. Why is her fingers black as hell, but her whole body is white, so-called pale? See her fingers? See, this is what we're talking about, iconoclasm. That's why we have to go back into the definition of iconoclasm and in the scripture that I brought out dealing with 1 Maccabees 3 and 48. They went in the book of the law to change the heathens sought to change the likeness of their image. All right? So, with that being said, let's go ahead and just reveal what this is. These two women are black. They were just white. They've been painted white. They whitewashed the images. Now I'm going to show that in one book dealing with the icons book a little later on. All right. So look at this right here. In the next page, you see Negros, Moors. All right. Following Islam. You know what I'm saying? And pursuing to Jeremiah 3 and 2. All right, actually, let me go ahead and pull this out. Our people always delved into the other heathens' religions. Okay? And the Moors weren't in just in Islam. They were in Christianity and other forms of other man-made religions as well. But this is something that everybody knows the Moors for being, all right? So this is Jeremiah 3 and 2, all right? And it reads, "Lift up thy eyes unto the high places, and see where thou hast been lying with. In the ways hast thou sat for them, as the Arabians in the wilderness," all right? The Arabians in the wilderness sat with them, their heathenistic culture and religion, all right? "And thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness." Because that's what, our people in the Middle Age time was doing. Following after different philosophies and doctrines and false doctrines of our particular culture. You know what I'm saying? Of the Israelite culture. off-brand culture, if you will, all right? Like Islam or Christianity, you know what I'm saying? All these religions that were either created by the heathen or created by us, that is contrary to the word of the Heavenly Father, all right? But you see the Moors right here. Let me go ahead and skip to the next page, right? Dealing with iconoclasm, dealing with the heathens painting their images and whitewashing the images, right? Look at these people, man. Now you can clearly see the hair texture being woolly, but for some reason they're all light skinned. But look at this guy right here. You see his face looks like it's lighter, but you see his hand is brown. All right. You see this guy all the way at the bottom. You see these guys, you see certain distortion of painting right here. See that? See that? But then you see this guy who's completely brown. It's them whitewashing the images, man. This is Spanish art, you know what I'm saying, from the Dark Ages, man. So I'm gonna go into page 66, all right? Page 66 in this book. I'm gonna read the insert and I'm gonna show you the image. Armed with bows, lances, and swords, Christians from the northwest of Spain began fighting back soon after conquest. Now let's look at the image right here. You see that they kind of discolored it, but you can see that's a Negro. It's a Negro. Definitely a Negro. Negro. You know what I'm saying? You see that? That's a Negro. Because what you have to understand, during the time of the Crusades, the different crusade periods, from the 11th century, the 10th century, all right, that was our people warring against each other with different factions, all right, different sects of religions. Those same spirits are the same spirits you see in these gang members today. Those same individuals destroying and killing one another back then are the same people that call themselves Bloods, Crips, BDs, GDs, so on and so forth. All right, it's the same thing. So let's go ahead and go into this book real quick. And I'm gonna just show a couple more images as I go on. I'm more freestyling in this video, you know what I'm saying? Because I just want to get to the points as fast as I can, you know what I'm saying? Explain it the best I can as well. So this book is very expensive, you know what I'm saying? The Icon book, all right? Dealing with art, from certain parts in Europe and Constantinople. All right. Certain parts of the Crusades as well. All right. So let's go ahead and go into this book by Kurt Weisman. All right. So this is page 11. The Icons of Constantinople, by Kurt Weisman. Iconoclasm, all right, because remember I just brought out the definition of iconoclasm. Venetian looting in 1204 and the sack by the Turks in 1453 are the main reasons why only very few icons have survived in Constantinople proper. It may seem daring, therefore, to write an entire chapter on the icons of the capital, yet the situation is not quite so hopeless as might appear at first glance. The reason why is because, going back to the destruction of these great artworks and great images of black people over there, some of them have survived, man. As it's going to say, some of them have survived, all right? Icons existed not only as panel paintings, but also as frescoes and wall mosaics, some of which have emerged from layers of whitewash. You hear that? Some have emerged from layers of whitewash to give an undiluted impression of the highest achievements of Constantinople art. So there was a lot of whitewashing of images, iconoclasm, all right, upon a lot of these great images of nobility, religious arts, man. dealing with our people, ruling over there, man. And obviously you can see, and the thing is, over there in Russia, the Renaissance didn't go all the way to Russia. That's why you can still go over there to Russia to this very day and go into the certain churches and cathedrals, and you'll still see those images being black, you know, of Christ and the apostles and so on and so forth. You can obviously see this image right here, St. George. You know what I'm saying? Definitely a Negro. Trying to see if there's another image we can go to before I go into the main ones. You know, you can see these images right here, these two angels. You know what I'm saying? Obviously you can see some of the distorted white images. Okay. Icons of Georgia. See this image right here? All right. Above left, Virgin with child. All right, so so-called Virgin Mary. All right, and and Jesus Christ. See that? It's still in those cathedrals to this very day. You know, this is Christ, and it says on the opposite, this is Christ the Savior. So these are the depictions. Now I'm gonna go into Revelations 2 and 9 real quick, to give you edification that, you know, hit what lines up with scriptural and biblical in world history, that Christ and the apostles and all of these people in the scriptures are black men, especially dealing with Christ from the line of Judah. All right. So this is Revelations 1 and 13. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, speaking of Christ, so this is one of the depictions of Christ, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girded about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Now, obviously, these depictions depict him having dark hair instead of white hair, but this is talking about when he comes back in his great power and glory. You know what I'm saying? That's why we use the depictions to show that Christ has, when he comes back, he's going to have that white woolly hair. All right. But, you know, these are the depictions from over there in Russia and different parts of Europe, because our people was ruling during that time, showing you what he looks like originally. In his feet, like unto fine brass, as if they burn in a furnace, his voice is the sound of many waters. So, as his feet were like unto fine brass. Brass is another derivation of brown. When you put anything in a furnace and you burn it, it's going to be black. All right. So these are more accurate depictions than what they show you in modern day times of him looking like a pale face white man. You know what I'm saying? Pale face, blonde hair, blue eyed white man. All right. So that's it. I want to go into some more images. So this is another depiction, all right, in one of the Russian arts over there. Okay, the Virgin Mary and Jesus Christ. See, let me go ahead and go to what the depiction of Constantine looks like. This is one of the people of that time. Okay. So this is Saint Constantine and Helena, his mother. Look at Constantine. Look at his mother. Those are not white people, man. Those are black people. That's Jesus Christ on top, being depicted as black, and the cherubims and the angels, man. All right. So those are just some few images in there. Let's go ahead and go into nature on the color lines and show you that to further substantiate that Constantine was a Negro. All right. So page 111 in this book. Such prejudice as existed against race in the matter of marriage was directed chiefly against the fair whites to the north, because they were considered heathen. So they were considered heathen, the fair whites, All right. By who? Constantine the Great issued strict orders against even the marriage of their princes with his people. So Constantine did not like white people, and he considered them heathen, which they are. And he didn't want his people marrying with him. Okay? So that just substantiates that he was in fact a Negro. All right. Now, some more information I want to go into too. You know, like I said, I'm freestyling this video, so then don't really have nothing like mapped out like that. Go ahead and go into Russian icons. You know, just show a quick glimpse of certain images of black people over there in Russia. You know what I'm saying? Because once again, these images weren't touched. Okay, you can obviously see from the 14th and 16th centuries, all right? You know, and obviously you see these two men right here are depicted in such a way. All right. And, you know, there's some distortion here and there, but you're not going to find them all in Europe, or I mean in Russia, as you will in Eastern Europe. Or Western Europe, I should say, Slovakia. All right. This is Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel. Go ahead and skip up. So this is Saint Nicholas, the Wonder Worker. Right here. Okay, so this is Saint John. This is one of the angels. You know, Virgin Mary and the Son Christ. Just further showing you that these images are still over there, man. You know. See, there's another one. There was one I wanted to show. Let's see. Yeah, right here. St. George. Clearly see that these are Negroid people. Okay. Let's see what. Oh yeah, you know what? Let me go ahead and go into this particular topic real quick. Dealing with the British. You know, oh yeah, you know, King James being a so-called black man. I know that this image of a black King James can be a little confusing because of your Western education, but this is the truth that is known by the rich and the elite in the world. That was the reason I paraded all of the English historians and professors before I got into the bowels of this book. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, I can pull up the images myself, you know what I'm saying, showing that he's a black man. But I want to show in this book briefly about the people of England or England and whatnot, Great Britain being originally ruled by the black people, all right? I had to get your mind ready to receive the truth. King James came from a long line of black Scottish stewards, 343 years of rulership in Scotland. The Stuarts not only ruled in Scotland, they ruled France, Spain, Ireland, England, Britain, Wales. King James was able to rule all of these lands because of all of these people were of Iberian black descent. They were the same people, right? So you can see different people, you know, like this dude, Thomas Hobbes, this image location from the book Leviathan, all right? Scottish King Alexander II, 1198 AD. You know what I'm saying? I want to skip up though. You know, because they were bringing slaves from not only from West Africa, but also too from Europe as well. All right, like we went up, like I brought out earlier. All right, so page 21. All right, Catholic historian T. Radcliffe Barnett. I'm gonna skip down to this paragraph. I'll get back to the book in a minute, but I will want you to wrap your mind around this imagery for one moment. Judah was coming into the slave trade from West Africa, and the blacks from Ireland, Scotland, Wales were coming into the slave trade from Europe. We have two different groups of blacks being fused together and dumped into the slave colonies as one people. All right, from this map, you can see the original name of the slave coast was the Kingdom of Judah, and to the left, Judah was the Ashanti or Ashanti. All right, so speaking of this map right here, the Ashanti in their history state that they were the tribe of Levi. There's a publication from Louisiana State University called Creole New Orleans, in which the author writes on page 67 that 6 ships came from Judah, landing 464 slaves at the Mount of Mississippi. On page 69, he states that all the nations of Europe had a port of Judah, but as great as the publication is, the writer didn't possess the knowledge that on these same boats were 2 groups of black slaves, one group from West Africa, another group from Europe. Or did he? The Jacobites or covenant keepers were on the same boat, and I shall make this plain as we go further in this book. The entire world acknowledges the presence of West Africans that came into the North Atlantic slave trade, but the world appears to be ignorant of the blacks that came out of Europe. When you were when you are through reading the facts provided to you in this book, you will be walking around with one of the greatest secrets in this generation. So I'm gonna skip up. We'll go to the next page. All right, so this is one of the coat of arms. All right, and after that, I might show a couple in the book, Nature Knows No Color Lines of the coat of arms, real briefly. The blacks of coats of arms, as you probably know, was found in the Scotland, Europe. It has been written that Andrew, the chief of the clan, rendered the homage to King Edward I of England in 1292. The purpose of this image is to reinforce the writings of the historians that the original people of Europe were black. Color is only being mentioned for the sake of identifying a people among us who don't know who they are. All right, so I can stop right there. You know what I'm saying? Because the original people of England were black people. All right, so this is more. So this is the Irish coat of arms. All right, family Gilbert crest. See that? All right, because some of these images right here, these originally were Irish people during the Irish Revolution. All right, Irish Rebellion. Irish Library, Irish History, the Irish Rebellion in 1641. You clearly see that these are black people, man. You know, going through that whole struggle against these damn white people, man. See, skip up. You know, people getting burnt to the stake. You know, so. You know, people of Ireland, Scotland, and Great Britain were originally black people, okay? So this is Richard II, King of the Wales and King of England and Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Spain, and France, 1377 to 1399. Son Edward the Black Prince. Clearly see that's a Negro right there. So I'm gonna skip down, all right? I'm gonna read this insert real quick. This is an image of Richard II, the Prince of Wales, Britain, to name a few. You can find this information on Wikipedia Encyclopedia in the Order of the Garter British Museum. This is what the population in Wales in Great Britain, in Britain looked like before the English invasion. The British Wales and the English were two different people, and that's something that you have to understand. The British Wales and the Englishmen were two different people. All right, the English were the white people, and the British were originally black people. The ancient Brits were black, and the invading English were whites. English still white. Okay, so you know, this is out of the book The Negro Question Part 4, The Missing Link by Lee Cummings. All right, dealing with different parts of our people ruling in Scotland, Ireland, and Great Britain. All right, so like if I'm just trying to speed through all this, let's go ahead and go into this. All right, I'm gonna go quickly into Septimius Severus too. Art of the Ancient Black Hebrews by Dehidi Hirakuti. All right, so let's go ahead and go into this and go into a couple images in this book showing what the Israelites look like according to ancient archaeological artwork and depictions. All right, so this is a figure 12 Hebrew. So this is out of page 27 from Lachish with a cow and his belongings, 701 BC, page 27. All right, so you can see this is an Israelite man right here. I believe this is during the time of the Assyrian Empire. All right, so this is him right here. See the curls in his beard and his hair. Looks Negroid to me. Slack so this is the Assyrian Empire. This is the Northern Kingdom. This is the Assyrian Empire carrying away the Northern Kingdom into slavery. All right. So let's see. Oh yeah, so let's go into some of these fresco paintings real quick. So this right here, page 40, it's like at page 41, figure 23, oldest image of the Virgin Mary and Christ child. Okay, they're Negroid. Okay. Let's see. All right, so this is the Good Shepherd, Shepherd form, Saint Peter, Marcellinus, and Marcellinus catacombs. All right. It's one in North Africa. This is a depiction of so this is page 46. Slovakia. This is page 46, and this is a depiction of Roman depiction of Abraham preparing to sacrifice his son. All right, sacrificing Isaac. All right, so this is page 47. The prophet Jonah being thrown overboard by the crew. See this Negroid, obviously, another version of Jonah being thrown over. Let's see. All right, this is Samson. Page 48. This is Samson and the lion. All right. Christ and the disciples. Figure 34, another version of the same picture. Christ and disciples. Lucky. All right, these are up close images right here. Let's see. These are more depictions right here. Figure 41, detail of two young men. All right. So, and this book also went into the icon images as well, so I don't have to really go into them again. Let's go ahead and go right into Septimius Severus, the first black Roman emperor of the Roman Empire. And I already did a video on him, you know what I'm saying? So you got your brothers and sisters, go ahead and check that video out. So I just want to deal with him because he was the one that he was set up to basically become part of the Roman Empire, the wars that he had with him and Pescennius Niger, all right? And they were warring to become the main rulers of Rome, and eventually he pretty much overpassed Pescennius Niger and all the other black people that were trying to rule Rome at the time. And his lineage, the Severus dynasty, the Severan dynasty, became, which pretty much ushered in the white man being put in chains for 1,000 years and us ruling for 1,000 years. All right. So armies based in several of the provinces had already proclaimed their own commanders as emperors, and one of them, Septimius Severus, African by birth. In other words, he was a Negro, so-called Negro, an Israelite by birth, and commander on the Danube, now marched on Rome and disposed the new emperor by auction. All right. So it's called him an African. And also just want to touch base too, real briefly. So I just want to touch on briefly dealing with, during the Roman Empire, even the Greek Empire, in them Colosseums, in them ancient Colosseums in Greece and Rome, especially in Rome, Jews, you know what I'm saying, or Negros were the ones that were in those gladiatorial pits. Well, really all nations were, but primarily dealing with the tribe of Judah, all right, the Negros, all right, and dealing with, you know, the kingdom of Judah, all right. So briefly, I want to touch on that in this book, Babylon in Timbuktu, all right. So I'm gonna read the page in 84. In year 65 BC, Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in 70 AD. Slovakia. In 70 AD, General Vespasian, all right, and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state, with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated over 100 million Jews, over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Now, that just proves, you know, that the real Jews were black people. You know what I'm saying? That's who was running from the Roman Empire. That's who was being taken over during 70 AD, the besiegement of Jerusalem. All right, and the ones that didn't escape into the west coast of Africa, or fled into Africa, the north and west coast part of Africa, they became slaves. And the ones that became slaves, they used them for all different purposes. And one of the main purposes was using them in their gladiatorial pits. All right. So in arenas and whatnot, no different than the modern day Negro being paraded in the certain different sports, like in boxing, mixed martial arts, basketball, football, these little gladiator sports type of games. All right. So I want to bring this out in Great Ages of Men, Imperial Rome. So I want to bring this out, and I'm going to go to page 50 in this book. Bizarre games for gladiators. Hail Emperor Slovakia. I'm going to skip down. All right. Actually, no, I'm going to read this. Hail Emperor, those who are about to die salute you. With the solemn address, the gladiators scheduled to fight filed past the imperial box. Most of them were prisoners of war, slaves or criminals sent through stern training schools. All right, so we know that the so-called Negro, the real Jew that the Bible speaks of, were partakers of in that, because guess what? They were, like we read in this book, during the time of 70 AD, when they besieged Jerusalem, the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. But also, too, they had slaves of other different people. But we know that the slave markets was full of black Jewish slaves dealing with the Roman Empire. All right. So with that said, let me keep reading. All right. The night before they had been feted as a lavish banquet where fans came to eye favorites and gamblers to estimate odds, now in the stands, peddlers hawked cold drinks, buns, and sausages. So I'm going to read down. The more unusual the contest, the better the Romans liked it. Gladiators often fought with mismatched weapons. Negroes, a rare sight in Rome, were matched with each other. A dwarf might be pitted against a woman, so on and so forth. But that's the point. Negroes, a rare sight in Rome, were matched with each other. You know what I'm saying? No different than how, like, you see all the different sports, they match us up. You know what I'm saying? All these little great sports that you see in America and throughout the world, especially in America and Europe and whatnot. You see our people being matched up as the pinnacle of the different sporting events, because we were the best at doing them. You know what I'm saying? And they threw us in the gladiator pits, you know what I'm saying, against animals. And guess what? We were killing the animals sometimes, but we were getting eaten by the animals too. Okay? But this right here is very telling right here. It says, let me read this again. Gladiators often fought with mismatched weapons. Negroes, a rare sight in Rome, which that's a lie, because there were a lot. It said the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves in this book, but also too, a lot of Jews converted into Romans. Jews being the so-called Negroes. All right, Negroes, a rare sight in Rome, were matched with each other. All right, now I'm gonna just let you be the judge. Look at the depiction of these fresco paintings over here, or these aren't fresco paintings, but these murals. All right. Look at the depiction of these damn gladiators, man. Look at this guy right here. You know what I'm saying? Look at this. Look at this guy. These were definitely Negroes in those gladiator pits, at least most of them. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like there weren't other races that they didn't enslave, dealing with the Romans, dealing with the Edomites who ruled Rome. But we know that the primary gladiators, the ones that they sported the most, were Negroes. No different than they do in the modern day Roman Empire in America today. Okay? Book Nation Knows No Color Lines, and I'm going to pull out another image. Actually, I want to go back into this. You know, this is go back into this book because it shows certain images of the coat of arms. You know, our people had the different family crests that our people had. This guy right here is King Henry VIII. All right, this is his original depiction. All right, and the guy to the left is Moors of Yorkshire or Slovakia. That's King Henry VIII. This guy right here is More Chancellor. All right, Slovakia. Sir Thomas More, Chancellor of King Henry VIII. You know what I'm saying? These are different coat of arms and images of our people. More coats of arms. Negro families. All right, Negro coat of arms families. Nobility. sister right here. And one of these coat of arms has the shield of David on it, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know, just for you brothers and sisters' edification. Show you all this. Now I want to just touch on one more particular topic, and then I'm gonna close on it. Let's go ahead and go into it. So I'm gonna read this out of my phone, because I want to get through this real quick. Acts 6:1, okay? So Acts 6:1. All right, and it says, and in those days when the number of disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Jews because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. Now, when you deal with the word Grecian or Greek, whenever you see Greek, this is what it's talking about, or Grecian or Greek, all right? So we're going to go into the Strong's Concordance. Let's go ahead and go into the word Grecian. Hellenistes. Hellenist, one who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. In the New Testament, used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. All right. So now that we know the definition of Hellenist, all right, let's go ahead and go into some pictures and description of what the Hellenists look like. All right. So right here. Actually, let me. Okay. So right here. So going to this book right here, Frank M. Snowden Jr., Blacks in Antiquity. All right. So this is page 74. All right. It's page 74. I'll show this real quick. You see this image of this boy? In this book is dealing with the Greco-Roman art, or black people, black images, black art, and the Greco-Roman experience. All right. So it's page 74. This is the bronze statue of a boy Hellenistic, hair in long spiral curls close to head. All right. So you can obviously tell this is a so-called Negro, so-called black boy right here. All right. And it says Hellenistic. All right. So he's in Hellenic, all right, or he's a Hellenistic boy right here. All right. You know what I'm saying? So that proves what? It said what? Jews, actually, let's see, Hellenists. Used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. Okay, so this is one of the Hellenists right here. Yeah, this guy right here, marble statue of acrobat, Roman work in Hellenistic style. Another Negro, all right? Performing different Greeks and Roman type customs and whatnot. This guy right here, Negro, black people, Negroes, all right? Just so you understand that the people that Paul was going to in the different parts of Asia Minor, in Greece and Rome, those were black people. Those were Jews, all right? So that you can understand. So this is all that I have. You know what I'm saying? Lord willing, brothers and sisters, was edified by this presentation, man. You know what I'm saying? Until next time, I say call Allah Yahweh Shemel Shai. Much love to you brothers and sisters in this truth. You know what I'm saying? And much love to the priests, prophets, and elders in this truth. Kwam Yahweh, Kwam Judah, which means rise Judah. Kwam Yasha Allah. Shalom.